morning. Today is Thursday, December 19th. I've adjusted to being back home after traveling through 3 time zones. Mountain, Central, and Eastern, and I'm back in Pacific. Anyway, I have used up all of my garlic powder. So I grow garlic in my garden and I use a lot of it fresh, but I also dehydrate and grind it up to make my own garlic powder. So this was ground in December last year. I found this is when it starts being kind of dry enough to start dehydrating it. If I do it right after harvesting, it still has a lot of moisture in it, and I have to run the dehydrator a really long time. But it works out with the time of year being off of work for winter break. I have time to do this. So today I'm going to get that started. It will be in the dehydrator for at least a day. And yeah, once it comes out, I'll be able to grind it up into powder, and then we can add it to recipes. Now what I've done in the past with dehydrating garlic is I'll peel the cloves, cut off the stumpy end here because that part doesn't grind up very well, and slice it as thin as I can with a knife and my hands. And my dehydrator trays look like this, where it's got the plastic grate for airflow. But I've also dehydrated things in there with putting down some parchment paper, things that are small. And what I did is I got myself a new kind of garlic press. I used to have the kind with the hinge, and you'd squish it, and but it broke. So I saw this design, I thought I'd give it a try. So what I think I'm going to do for dehydrating this time is, instead of slicing, this is the first time I'm going to try this, I think I'm going to go ahead and press the garlic and put down some parchment paper on here, and then just spread out the little garlic pieces, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'll definitely get garlic powder in the end, but I'm curious if it makes the process easier, and maybe the dehydrator doesn't have to run as long. I don't know. We'll see. So it's Friday, December 20th, which means Christmas is only like 6 days away, 5 days away, depending on how you count your days. Does today count? Yeah, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. Mike and I have been up, had a doctor's appointment, and we have someone coming to the house to look at a couple of leaky spots in our roof. Yeah, it's not good to have leaky spots in your roof, so we're gonna have someone come by today and give us an estimate. Fingers crossed it's not too bad. It's hard to know with roofs, but it's the reality of owning a home is things don't last forever and you have to repair them, and yeah, so we'll see what's going on with that. So we're going to have to tidy up the house a little bit so that the gentleman can get to the places where the leaks are happening, just move furniture and stuff, whatever he might need to do to get into spaces in the, I don't know if he's going to go in the attic or whatnot. So anyway, just prepping for that. I started some garlic dehydrating yesterday morning, and it's been about 24 hours. It's been in the dehydrator with it running, and I'm going to grind that up today because I checked on it last night before going to bed, and it looked and felt amazing. It felt dried out, but I was like, I'm gonna leave it in throughout the night for a couple of reasons. One, if I just unplug it and leave it sit there, the garlic will reabsorb moisture from the air, because it's not like it's sealed. It has to bring air in and let air flow out. So if I just turn it off, it'll rehydrate itself a little bit. And then another reason is I just wanted to make sure it was like super dried out, because just because it feels dry on the outside doesn't mean it really is all the way dry. So but yeah, I'm really liking how it's turning out. I did the garlic press method instead of slicing like I talked about, and I think it has decreased the amount of time it needs to be drying. I won't know for sure until I get in there and start trying to grind it up, and we'll see how dry it really is, but I'm hopeful. So that's what's on the agenda for today. Last night, well, yesterday was a pretty busy day. I got the garlic started, and then after that, I got the dehydrators all set up and plugged in. We replaced our dishwasher. Yeah, we've been having to do things around the house. So our dishwasher, we would load it, put in soap and everything, push the on button. It would sound like it was starting a cycle and then just stop. And it wouldn't complete a wash cycle. We had pulled it out to look behind to make sure, the hoses weren't kinked and things weren't leaking, or, an obvious sign of why this may be functioning. Nothing like that is going on, which was great. I mean, I was really happy it wasn't leaking a bunch of water, but we put it back and it just kept malfunctioning again. And we called a repair guy yesterday, or the day before, and he said, we told him what was going on, and he said, yeah, no, it's obviously to do with the electrical, and it would probably mean replacing like basically the motherboard on it, and that's pretty much the price of a dishwasher. So yeah, so he gave us some advice on sort of brands to stay away from, in particular the kind we had. So we went with a different brand. We bought a Samsung dishwasher. It's not fancy, despite the name. It's not like Wi-Fi enabled with a smart anything. It's just pretty basic. which is all we really want. And we installed that yesterday. So we spent a good 2 to 3 hours working on that project. And we got it in and we ran it empty to just wash the machine out, and it worked fine. We loaded it with dishes and ran a load, and I was concerned the same thing was happening where we'd started, it sounds like it's starting a load and then stopping, because I stood in the kitchen for a good like 5 minutes and the machine wasn't doing anything, so I thought it was malfunctioning, but we restarted it and it seemed to work fine, and it just has a pausing point. I don't understand. I don't know why it like runs. You can hear the water moving through it, and then it stops for a really long time and then starts, like, I don't understand why it's doing that, but it came with a very basic manual to explain how it works, but it really doesn't tell you how it works. It doesn't tell you what each of the cycles means. Like, it just says choose your wash cycle. Different wash cycles do different things. Right. Tell me what the different things are that it does, like hot water versus warm water, length of cycle. I mean, tell me anything about it. But so I had to go on the internet and I found a manual that explained a bit more, but still not everything that I want to know. It's very annoying. Why can't it just explain, hey, these are the buttons on your machine, here's what they mean? Like, I don't feel like I'm asking for too much here, but so we're still learning how it works and testing out, you know, how tightly we can pack the dishes, um, you know, all the new things you have to learn with a new layout in a dishwasher is where do things fit best, where do they get cleaned, um, that sort of thing. So it shall be a little bit of an adventure, not an exciting one, but we'll be figuring that out. So yeah, a lot of stuff around the house, which has a fun element to it because it's our home and we own it, and you know, there's a lot of joy that comes with that, even though it's not always fun to do repairs and replacements. So anyway, um yeah, so that's what's been going on around the house. I really sat down to talk to you about my knitting, so sorry about that, but I hope you can get some enjoyment out of our home maintenance journeys as well. So I went on that trip to visit my grandparents, and I did like pretty much no filming while I was there. Uh, and we were just having such a great time talking and just spending time with each other. It would have been a detraction to do any kind of filming and getting away. So it was totally worth it. I also did basically no knitting while I was there. I think I pulled out my sock knitting one time and did like 4 rounds. We were busy and it was fantastic. So when I got home, all I wanted to do was work on my sweater. I worked a little bit on my gnome, but not very much. So I really, really want to finish this year, which is why I'm putting my focus on this. So I did finish the sleeve, and it's amazing. So I told you guys what I wanted to do was keep the sleeve, just making sure I don't drop stitches on the other sleeve. I wanted to keep the sleeve wide and then do rapid decrease. And it worked out. It worked out pretty well. It's got a little bit of a bubble puff to it. The ribbing cinches it in really nicely. It looks amazing on. It doesn't look like a huge sleeve. It's also not skin tight like sausage casing. It's pretty much perfect. Of course, I say that, and I noticed in the pictures I took, so I've been taking pictures of the sweater on a hanger and hanging it on the wall, and I've been hanging it in the same place each time. And I was going back through those going, oh, look at my sweater progress. And I noticed that before I had started the sleeves, the neck was more cinched in. And now that I've got a sleeve on here and I'm working on the other one, it's starting to pull it more open, right? From the weight of it, which totally makes sense. I don't want this neckline to really open up. I want it to stay tight. And I've heard people talk about sewing in elastic. I have not done that before. I don't even know what kind of elastic I would buy. Not saying I don't want to explore that at some point, but I'm wondering after I after I do this sleeve, the second sleeve. See, I still have my waist yarn in. I like to leave that in until I finish the sleeve because from that point I can measure how long it is. And I left it in on the other sleeve as well. There it is. So I can measure from here to the end on the both and make sure I make the sleeves the same length. And then when I'm done, I'll pull that out. But here's what I'm debating. So after I finish the pattern part of the sleeve, before I get to the ribbing, I'm going to try it on again and compare the neckline. I might go back and pick this up and pick up the stitches on the ribbing here and just make it a folded over neckband, so it's got like a more thickness to it and it'd be more sturdy and hold it a bit better. Now if I do that, I'm tempted then to also do that on the sleeves. I'm not tempted to do that on the bottom of the sweater. Now that I say I'm half tempted to do it on the bottom of the sweater, but but adding the extra sturdiness, the collar and the sleeves, I mean, that ribbing is going to get the most structural use out of it, of holding things. So I don't know. You know how it is when you want a project to be like as close to perfect as you can get it, and of course now I'm noticing things. I'm like, oh, if I had just done, well, I could go back and redo it, and it's adding more to the project, but we'll see. So like I said, I'll do another try on, reevaluate, kind of see where we're at. I am not opposed to, I mean, it would not be that hard. I haven't woven in any of my ends, partially for this reason, because you never know when you might need to go back and fix or change something. So it wouldn't be that hard to do. And I mean, the folded over, I did it on a hat once and it is amazing. So it would add quality to this garment. So I will probably do that, but I will see if it's necessary. So yeah, I'm on the second sleeve and I'm really, really excited about that. I did break into my last ball of the green, and it will get me there for sure. This is the second to last ball of the brown color. I do have one more ball. It's getting close. I think I can finish the sleeve with this. I don't think I'm going to need to break into that other ball. I'm doing all the ribbing and finishings in the green, so we'll see. We'll see. I did have to break into this on the first sleeve to finish like 2 more rounds of the patterning plus the ribbing, which felt really annoying, but I had a whole nother sleeve to do. So yeah, I think I started with four balls of each. These are from Knit Picks. They're 50-gram balls. This is their Knit Picks palette, which is 100%, it's 100% wool. I want to say like Peruvian wool. At first it feels like a toothy yarn, but you know, I've worked with it so much, it feels soft to me, and I love it. It's going to be a beautiful sweater. Gnome knitting, I'm still on clue 4, and I added a couple more repeats to this. There's a pattern part where I have to repeat a section like 7 times, I think, and so I added a couple more. This seems to me like it's going to be a big long hat, like it's tapering. That's what I suspect, but yes, I'm still on clue 4, which is pitiful, but I want to finish that sweater. I so want to finish that sweater. It's nice and crispy dry. And I've got my coffee grinder. And I'm going to use that to grind it up. And then I'll use a mesh strainer, which I need to get out of the cupboard. And then it will go in one of my clean garlic powder containers, and we'll see how much this gives me. It's pretty good. Good little coffee grinder. Want to go for a walk, Marjorie? Oh, yeah.